Hello, guys. This is Sanjay Shenoy, and I have recently joined Team Digital Deepak, and I'll be taking care of a lot of activities, and you'll be seeing me in a lot of courses also. This is my first course video for Digital Deepak, and this video will be talking about Google local SEO. And before we enter into how to perform local SEO, the most important prerequisite for performing Google SEO is Google My Business listing. And this video will take you through how to set up a Google My Business listing for any business in any city. So, why Google Maps listing is so important for you guys? I know a lot of people have been asking on the forum to make this video, especially for Google Local SEO, and which makes me believe that a lot of people know already why this is important. This is just to reinforce the necessity of Google Maps listing, and especially for people who don't know why it is so important and the impact it can have on your SEO game. So, the most important thing is that there are, I think, about 60% of the searches that happen online happens through mobile, and out of that, 90% of the searches with the local intent triggers the three pack map in the search results. So it can be something like guitar classes in Bangalore, and when you type in something like that, you can see that there is a listing, a map listing, usually with three of the local businesses that has been listed over there. So for this is basically the premise of local SEO, and for this to happen, you need a Google Maps listing before we proceed, and which is why this is a very important prerequisite to that. So why is it so important to have like a Google Maps listing and get everything right before we proceed into optimizing it for local SEO? The most important thing is that if your business is a local setup, then your customers will be Googling your business for directions. It can be timings, your contact information, and it's very important for you to like specify all of this information in the most accurate manner possible, so that when they're actually looking for it, they find it and make it easier for them to like perform business with you. This is probably the most important reason why you should be focusing on local SEO also, especially if your business is of a local setup. The intent of these customers are extremely high because they know exactly what they're looking for. They know the product or the service or the offering that they want, and they're trying to solve it through Google. And if you're not there when their intent is so high, it makes it almost impossible for you to convert them into customers otherwise. So forget everything else. This is like the most important part of why you should be doing local SEO, and it also gives you a platform to create social proof in the form of ratings and reviews. This way you can control and manage your online reputation also. Having reviews and ratings can give a lot of social proof, hence it drives a lot more conversions than usual. So let's see how to set up a Google Maps listing accurately for your business or for your client's business. And if you have already signed into your Gmail account, it will directly like bring you to this particular page. Here you can start typing in your business name. I'm just going to use a dummy business name just to see how the whole procedure is done. Sometimes what would happen is a third party user might have already listed your business here. What you can do in that case is type in your business name, and if you find your business name there, you can just click on it and claim that business as yours. There will be a verification process for that, which we'll get to later. If not, you can set up the entire My Business listing from scratch, which we'll be doing right now. So I'm going to call it Sanjay's Digital Marketing Academy. Obviously, you need to choose the right country. In this case, that would be India. I'm going to give a random address. Put in your city. Here, make sure you provide a local number, and which will make it much more easier for people to reach out to you. It's very important to choose the right category, because when you choose the right category, it helps Google to map it to the keyword that the user is searching for. So it is extremely important to choose the category which suits your business the most. I'm going to call mine an internet marketing service. Here you can input your website. So you'll see I deliver goods and services to my customers at their location. What does this mean is basically there are a lot of services these days which are propping up, which does not exactly have a customer facing local setup, but they will be doing a lot of deliveries to the customers' houses or offices itself. A lot of food startups do this, so they'll have like something called as a cloud kitchen, and they'll deliver it to directly to their customers rather than having a restaurant. So for companies like this is very important, because this will allow you to tell Google which are the areas that you'll be providing the service for. So in this case, this is not necessary, so I'm going to hit on continue. So this is what will show up when you're pretty much done, and you click on I am authorized to manage this business and I agree to the terms of service. Hit on continue. What Google will do is it'll verify your information, your physical address information, that is, to ensure that you are a legit business located in that address that is given by you. So they will send you a mail with a code, which is basically like an OTP, which is actually an OTP, which will be sent in a physical mail to your address which you provide. So which makes it absolutely important for you to provide the accurate address information over here. And obviously I'm not going to do this here, so I'm going to click on verify later. But without doing this, you cannot proceed further. Your listing will not be activated. So it is very important that you activate your listing by verifying your address. It usually takes a few days, but I've heard sometimes it takes about a week, 2 weeks also. So don't worry if your mail is a little late, it usually comes on time, but just wait it out. So this is the page that comes up once you're done with the initial steps. As you can see in the big red box, Google is trying to warn us to say that your edits won't appear on Google until you verify your business. So like I mentioned before, verify your business, and until then nothing of this will show up at all. Here you can pretty much edit all of the information, and let's start one by one. So let's go to info, and I am going to try and add every possible information here, and so should you. This will ensure that your customers know everything about your business that is required to be known. So I'm going to add all the hours that we'll be working on. So Monday, Tuesday. So I'm done adding all the hours for all the working days that we have, and it completely depends on your business. It might be working 7 days a week or only a certain days a week, and the timings can be completely different. So ensure that this is done properly. This is mainly because when somebody is looking for directions to your place, the Google Maps, the GPS usually shows up saying that this place is going to close in the next 15 minutes or 10 minutes, or something like that. So uh, it is important that you put the working operating hours the right way, so that people don't end up at your doorstep and you're closed. So this advanced information is usually used for stores with multiple location. So if you have multiple locations in a particular city, it's great to add your store code and tag a label to it, so that people know what store they're looking at. Also, if you're running ads, especially since Google has opened up advertising on Google Maps itself, so you can add an AdWords location extension phone. So basically, this phone number will appear right below with a call to action call button, so people who are looking from their phones can directly call your phone through an AdWords ad. So ensure that you put all the information here, including the photos, and make sure you try to add every photo possible here, which is your interiors, your exteriors, artwork, team. So this kind of helps in building the credibility and trust about your business. And also, what else? The biggest advantage, what I might want to call here is that you can name the file of the photos that you are uploading with your keywords. So, for example, if it's guitar classes in Bangalore, probably my cover photo will be guitar classes in Bangalore.jpg, and I will try to find as many keywords as possible related to this particular primary keyword and try to use them as the names of my images. So this will definitely help in your local SEO, which we'll further discuss. So try to add as many images as possible, minimum of 3, and use your keywords as the file name, so which will help you in your SEO further on. If your business or your client's business is located in multiple cities, you can always like click on add new location and basically do the whole thing over and over again for all the cities that they are present in. But you need to be very careful here because you have to maintain consistency in the name, address, and phone number, which is usually referred to as NAP information, across all the platforms, including your website. So if you have multiple locations, the best way to go about this is to create a separate page on your website for that particular location, and while adding this new location, just use that as the website URL rather than your homepage. This kind of makes it very consistent across every platform, and it will be helpful for your customers also. Google also has an inbuilt website builder. I think you can skip this considering the fact that you already have a website which is there. Speaking about website, it is very important that you optimize the website that is in question for the local keywords that we are targeting right here. For example, if it is guitar classes in Bangalore, it's I would ensure that the keyword guitar classes in Bangalore is there in the title tags, is there in the meta descriptions, and it is wrapped well around in the content on my website. And try to use as many long tail and LSI keywords related to this. So this will definitely help in your further work in terms of local SEO. And this is basically the on page of local SEO that you need to do. So I will go through a checklist which will make it much more easier for you to understand all the things. In case you want to give access to another person in terms of managing this listing, so you can always add another person by clicking on users and just click here, and you can basically make them into an owner, manager, or communications manager. So if some agency or if you have hired someone who takes care of the reviews and responding to reviews, so this can be very useful for adding users. So that's pretty much it in order to like set up a Google My Business listing, just to ensure that we have done everything and you would do everything that is required for Google SEO. Let's go through this checklist, and you can use this checklist in the future for reference to ensure that you're not missed out on anything. So the first thing is add your business name. A lot of people get very tempted to add keywords in the business name itself. Please do not do this. It looks very spammy and it looks very unprofessional. Just add in your business name as it is. Also add in your proper location. Ensure that the address is accurate and the marker is set right in the Google Maps when you're setting up the listing. If you have multiple locations, then each location should have its own listing, and when you're setting up this multiple location, ensure that you use the location specific page as the website URL. Always enter the complete address, so that if in case your customer does not have 3G or 4G on the go for Google Maps and Google GPS, they can always look up the complete address and end up at your doorstep. Uh, this is a no-brainer. You need to have your local official phone number, which is working, so that your customers can reach out to you whenever you can. Although this sounds very obvious to have, I have personally experienced where a lot of restaurants don't update this. They think that a lot of them might come through Zomato or some other kind of listing services, but these are like the small things that you need to ensure it's done properly. I have personally faced this, so ensure that you or your client's listing is completely up to date with working phone numbers and accurate addresses. Obviously, enter your website like I mentioned before. For each location, put in the location page on your website rather than the homepage URL. Choose the best category for your business, the category which suits your business the most. Try not to this is important because this kind of tells Google where you fall under, and the algorithm runs in such a way that even if somebody is looking for something remotely close to that, they will then your listing will be triggered. So try not to sneak into a category which is extremely popular but also very populated. This kind of is counterintuitive to what you're trying to achieve here. Add as many images as possible. Minimum would be 3. And when you're doing this, a good hack would be to use your keywords along with a lot of LSI keywords as the file name for the images. This kind of gives you an edge in terms of the local SEO when you'll be doing it further on. There is also something called as Street View for businesses, or some people refer to it as Business View, which is basically a 360-degree tour of your business. This can be extremely helpful in terms of restaurants or hotels or some kind of showrooms. So what this basically does is it gives you the same kind of feeling like what Street View does, a 360-degree virtual tour of your entire property. And you cannot do this. You need to hire a Google approved photographer because it requires special equipment, and this can be done pretty much in a day or two. You can just Google Google Street View for business, and you will get a list of all the approved photographers in your particular city who is commissioned by Google to do this. And it completely depends on the kind of photographer he or the agency is in terms of charges, and also it depends on how big your showroom or your restaurant or your business setup is. Add every possible detail like hours of operation, payment types, etc. Optimize your title, your meta description, your header tags with local keywords. Don't try to aim for the bigger ones and expect to rank in your 3-pack maps listing. That is very rare to happen unless you have a lot of authority. So a good way to go about this is to ensure that your title, meta description, your header tags, and your content is nicely filled with local keywords. But don't go overboard. Don't stuff it with keywords. Try to spread it out evenly. Also, have the name, full address, and phone number on the footer of every page, and keep it consistent with what you have used to set up Google My Business, because this is very useful in terms of setting up the schema markup, which I'll be talking about in the later videos. So I hope this kind of covers everything in terms of Google My Business. This is the most important step in local SEO, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So if you haven't done this yet, please go ahead and do it right now, because this is extremely important, and without doing this you can't do anything for that matter. It's like trying to perform SEO for a website that does not exist. So this is the same thing in terms of Google My Business also. So set it up right now. If you've already set it up, go in and use this checklist to check whether everything that I've mentioned can be ticked off, and whether something else can be added and made better. So keep this in mind. Once you're done with this, The next video will talk about the next steps in terms of local SEO and how to rank higher in the Google Maps 3 pack, and try to appear in the 3 pack first of all. That's like the first page of SERPs. That's the equivalent of first page of SERPs. So that would be our first objective, and obviously the ultimate objective would be to get to the first position in the 3 packs. So the next video will talk about a lot more in detail. First, go set up your Google My Business, and we'll see you later.